Hi, and welcome to an intuitive journey with Desiree. I am Desiree Holmes Scherini, your host, and I'm delighted today to have as my guest Bob Doyle. And if you have not heard of him before, he's best known as a featured expert in the film and book The Secret. And now he's focusing his coaching and training on neuroplasticity and your ability to rewire your brain so that you literally become the person who creates the results you want in life without having to adopt any unusual belief system. He has been teaching these principles through programs, live events, podcasts, live streams, coaching, writing, and even virtual reality since 1998. He is driven by his passion for creative self-expression, and his work is heavily focused on helping people decide who they want to be and how they want to express themselves. And I have to say that I've been lucky enough to meet and overlap with Bob in different areas, along with HypnoBiz, the International Academy of Universal Self-Mastery, and through taking a course with Victoria Marie Gallagher, and then being led to taking his Boundless Living challenge. All of these things have enriched me, and we will talk more about his program that I took after we get to say hi. So welcome, Bob. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for asking me. It's great to be here, Desiree.
Thank you. And I'm switching my microphone because I did not properly in the first place. Anyway, so hopefully the first part will be heard, I'm sure, but this will be a little clearer. That's why I have this pinned on there. Anyway, so Bob, I'd like to start with just a brief background, because most of us have heard of you or have heard of The Secret for sure. Mm-hmm. And so what is your, what would you share with us on how you ended up there?
Sure.
And how that led to here?
Yeah. So I was never, getting into the personal development industry or any of that was never my goal. I always wanted to be a broadcaster. I wanted to get on the radio and do stupid voices and just be silly. That was my career goal. I've known that since I was a kid, and it is what I did for the first 7 years of my professional life. But I wasn't, because I was just getting started and I was in a major market, I couldn't really express all the creativity I wanted to. You kind of have to work your way up and put some time in. And I was just too darn impatient. And I basically quit radio. And then I was like, well, now what do I do? And so I just jumped around from career to career. I tried to start a few businesses in areas of interest like audio production. And I did have a web design company for a while. I sold nutrition, multi-level. I tried all kinds of things, trying to find a way that I could express myself creatively through what I do. And I wasn't very successful, but that's what I craved. Like whatever it is I did, I had to be able to be creative and express myself. So after not having success finding things in the traditional way and starting businesses that I thought I should on paper do well at, that's when I started to look for, okay, what are maybe the invisible reasons that this isn't happening? Like, is it something going on in my brain? Is there something metaphysical going on? And that's really what led me eventually through a long and winding road to the law of attraction and the physics of our thoughts and all of this stuff, which led to my aha moment. Now, normally I would spend 30 minutes getting to that aha moment, but that's not what I'm talking about now. Yeah. The point is I had my aha moments around the law of attraction, started teaching it, and had been doing that for a few years before Rhonda Byrne, who produced The Secret, found me and included me in the film. So after The Secret, of course, now millions of people were familiar with this whole concept of the law of attraction or creating our reality. But the job that I had was also changed drastically because it went from me passionately sharing things I was interested in with a very passionately interested audience to now there's literally millions of people who may not be on board with this message and may have a problem with it, right? Like, what do you mean I created this? I didn't do this. So my job became dispelling a lot of myths and stuff. And it just, honestly, it just wasn't as fun as it was when it began. Plus, after The Secret, I sort of, wedged myself into this identity that I thought I needed to have, which was, Bob Doyle from The Secret or whatever, however people were introducing me. But it didn't, I didn't give myself permission to be silly and really show my personality and just do all of that. I felt like people just wanted people like Jack Canfield. Not that these people don't have personality, but I just didn't feel comfortable being the goofball that I am in this conversation. And I had gotten some feedback here and there that made me think maybe I shouldn't. So that was a part of the journey that wasn't a lot of fun until live streaming came along. And then I realized, hey, I can put on a show. and I can be creative and do all sorts of visual things and stuff with my voice. So that broadcaster in me found a way to communicate this message through live streaming. And now I love to do, as a lot of my coaching and teaching happens live, Facebook groups, things like that. It's just how I really prefer to do it. But anyway, so 20 years teaching the law of attraction. But here's what I started noticing. I mean, I noticed it a long time ago, but then I was like, what are we going to do about this? Is that what was happening is that people were just so focused on the law of attraction, like getting it right, figuring out all the nuances and doing their vision board right, taking course after course and all these books and just law of attraction, which that was my focus too. Like I thought if everybody just understood the ins and outs of the law of attraction, they would have the same kind of aha moment as me and start getting results. Well, that's not necessarily the case. And what I've seen, and I'm sure you see, and it's very obvious, that people get obsessed with the law of attraction instead of getting obsessed with who they need to become to get the things they want in their life.
Yeah.
They're treating the law of attraction will take care of itself as long as you be this. And that, of course, is what the Boundless Living Challenge is all about. So I'm doing what I'm doing now with neuroplasticity and brain rewiring because there's absolutely no woo-woo in it. Now, I love all that stuff. I love the energy and the vibration, but it wasn't landing with people, or they were obsessing over it and worrying about getting it right. Bottom line is you don't need to know any of that stuff. All you need to know is who you want to become and then how you can start rewiring your brain so that you can become that person. Because the person you are right now is because of how your wiring is. It all happened mostly on autopilot. Now we're going to get intentional about it so that you can, like you said in the introduction, literally become the person that you wish to be, that you need to become to get the results in your life. Not act like you're that person or not aspire, but you become that person. And that's something it's an ability that we all have. And so because it's so direct and it's so just, there's nothing to argue about scientifically, that's why I've chosen to go this route. And I'm enjoying the process of teaching it and coaching it so much more because results come much faster and they're just undeniable.
Yeah, that's one of the things, several of the things you brought up that I really enjoyed working with you, because you are very accessible in your programs and you're there and you're who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And even on some of the other platforms, I loved how you were our MC, with all your just different filters on and just having fun.
Yes.
Because we don't have enough fun anymore. I think people are, like you said, of some of the, talking heads or the experts, it's not so fun.
And it also separates us. It separates them from,
I'm here and you're here and I'm going to tell you what to do. Yeah.
And I have no interest in being that person because honestly, I want to, my goal is to make my mark here, get people to learn that they can do this, give them a system through which they can do it so that really I can spend my time doing my creative things that I like to do that don't necessarily have to do with the law of attraction or neuroplasticity or even helping anyone directly with their lives. But I'm also very clear that I am here to do that. Like there is that message in me. And I know this because over the course of the years and with various frustrations, I've tried to leave like lots of times and say, okay, I'm done with this. People are frustrating me. But the message is just so strong that it keeps coming back out. And then when the brain stuff happened, the neuroplasticity, I go, oh my God, this is so simple.
Yeah.
Not necessarily easy, but it's simple. And it just takes a committed person, and then I can absolutely help them get where they want to go.
And what I think, one of the points you make about the law of attraction, I love the idea of the law of attraction and the thinking and the, put my crystal in the corner and it's going to charge it up. I love that stuff. But you're right that, something I share a lot of times with clients that are feeling like they're stuck in something, and it is that the law of attraction, this energy, when we get to the woo-woo, your program doesn't have this woo-woo, but I do believe that by becoming the person who is deserving of that law of those things coming, opens up that energetic block. So I'm like, it's like you're blocking yourself as long as you are not being who you want to be. So it's almost that's where woo-woo meets reality is you've got to open the door, not just sit there and go, okay, law of attraction, I am yours. Yes. You've got to get up and say, what would I be doing? Who am I? Yeah.
Right. That's your part in the
Mhm.
law of attraction. Because remember, it's not the universe and you are the
The
freaking
you.
universe. You're
Yep.
part of it. So you're part
Mhm.
of it's a dance, right? It's
Yep.
not just, now here's all those rituals and the crystals and all those things. If
Mhm.
you love them, that's fantastic. And it
Yeah.
will help you as long as it also moves you into action. Like you
Mhm.
have to be,
Right.
that means saying different things, making different meaning out of things. It means giving up a ton of stories that define you in any sort of limited way. Now you got to give all that up. You have to
Yep.
stop telling those stories and create new ones. And it's okay to make them up. We imagined all of our limiting stories too, by the way. It just didn't feel like we were making them up because we were
Yeah.
using our meaning machine and our wiring to just say, oh, this is the truth. But we just made it up. So we
Yeah.
can make up new empowering stories and live like that person. And eventually the world will catch up.
Yeah. And a lot of our stories were told to us.
Yeah.
We were told something by parents, by school, by other people, and then we believe it and then get stuck in that personality of, oh, I'm the nice one, or I'm the dumb one, or I'm the funny one, or I'm the one who can't earn any money, I'm the black sheep, or I'm the homecoming queen. And people carry that, and for some of them that helps them on their path if they got the right message. But so many people need to examine what they believe about themselves and say, okay, why is that? Why do I believe that's true? Where did that come from?
Right.
And then like erase and take a program like yours and replace it with what is true, what they
That
want to be true,
that is literally how it works. We are born with this, like, it's just wide open, ready to accept anything. And so we get all of that input from our parents and society, all those things you listed. We have no conception that we can assess this, evaluate it, and decide whether it's true or not. We're not developed enough. So everything is a yes. So whatever the limiting things are that we're learning, they become wired biologically. This is what I really want people to understand, because this is a conversation about biology.
Yeah.
Yeah, and spirituality and all the other things too. But when it comes down to it, if we're going to live an effortless life as this truly a productive and passionate person, it needs to be wired in us so that it's our default way of being. Just like
Mm-hmm.
right now, who we're being is default. We're not thinking about it. Most likely, we're not trying to be this. We just are it. If we want to intentionally change it, it's going to take a little bit of effort. And this is what people don't like, because it
It
feels
doesn't feel good.
right. But neither did when you learn to walk and talk and read and all those non-negotiable things in your life. It was a challenge, and you made many mistakes. Maybe you hurt yourself, who knows? But you didn't stop because it was non-negotiable. This
Mm-hmm.
has to happen.
Yeah.
But if you could make your goals, your visions just as non-negotiable, then you would continue. You would take all that feedback that you get, and instead of calling it a failure, you'd say, thank you very much for that. Now I know how to redirect. That's
Yeah.
how it works. That's how every invention works. That's how all progress works. It's just how it all works. And somehow we just get stupid about it when it's about our own personal life. We just feel like, well, no, but the industry said 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 45 days. It's just take this program. When you finish it, we don't know. No one in the industry can tell you how long it's going to take for you to rewire your brain,
Right. And like
especially
you say,
permanently.
it takes you and the program. And just like the law of attraction is not going to magically wave a wand over your head and you're Cinderella at the ball. I wish, right? Where are my fairy godmothers? You got to get dressed. You got to put on your shoes. You got to go through the process and do the work. One of the best examples I got about that neuroplasticity and the old programming, for the listeners, is the idea that our thoughts and behaviors just keep reinforcing our thoughts and behaviors. And the more we think it and the more we do it, the more we just keep doing the same old thing.
Mhm.
And it's like going down a hill on a sled, and the sled keeps going to the old track. So it's going to take some effort to pick up your sled and start going through the thick snow to create a new pattern. And, so that's what you're talking about, is the neuroplasticity.
Yes, and here's the reason that the personal development industry has this freaking 93% failure rate is because of this wiring. We get very excited and we do want to change. I mean, there's this millions of people who want to change, but then when they get to the end of their to the extent of their wiring, if they're not getting help or support from somebody else who can let them see things a different way, to show them that there is a different version of the truth on a regular basis,
Mm-hmm.
then they will understandably succumb to their old wiring. It doesn't make them weak or stupid or unaware or non-spiritual. It's biology. You've got a lifetime of wiring which wants to keep it you just how you are. And so if you don't do the things necessary to move through that discomfort, but here's the thing, the biggest thing you can do is just to reframe the discomfort. We've learned to not to avoid discomfort like it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can reframe it and realize that discomfort is something to celebrate, it means that we are pushing beyond our limits. That means we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
If we stay comfortable, we're clearly not.
It's like exercise. Yeah. You're like, I don't want to go to the gym, or I don't want to do one more sit up or whatever it is. But to keep your, eye on the goal, you can stay here as the victim who nothing ever changes, or you can pick yourself up and move yourself along. That's one of the things I liked about your challenge, was that you kept us accountable. And you have these daily things: morning meditation, evening meditation, journal, calendar. Thank you. My calendar.
Right.
That was my challenge, was keeping myself organized and not feeling overwhelmed. And also, I'm a life coach and a hypnotherapist, and I need help, right? Everybody, and plus a lot of people, even the helping fields, feel like, oh, I'm supposed to know this stuff. And truth is, I can help someone else with it and still have my own issues around it, right? Because it's easy to tell somebody something, but I also need to work on, managing my own, little bubble of like where I feel inefficient or something.
Yeah, and I've run into that lots of times in my career too, but I always try to do what I can to be the person who's speaking from the experience. Now, the story of my professional life is I had crap happen to me, I dealt with it, and I shared it. Like before this, it was physique transformation, and there's been various versions of it. So, and so sometimes I've only been just this much ahead of the people that I'm talking to, but that's okay. I mean, you can absolutely help people like that. But early in my career, back in the law of attraction segment, I made a distinctive change of mindset about who I was in this work. Because when I first started, I was basically a facilitator of other people's information. I mean, I had gotten these ebooks, I'd had some aha moments. And so the first iteration of my program was 95% other people's stuff and 5% my input based on what I had gotten. And I didn't position myself as anything other than a facilitator. Mm-hmm. However, at some point, something happened in me and I said, no, I want to be the person who makes this difference. I want to be the person who understands this and can communicate it to as many willing, open minds as possible. And that's who I am starting right now, not next week, not when I've done this or accomplished that. That's who I am right now. And if there's any woo-woo part of this conversation, it would be that when I made that decision, that's when like the downloads, if you will, started. Like my brain opened up to all these concepts, and that little program that was 5% me became 95% me. And hardly anything from anybody else. And it turned into this giant, which is how Rhonda Byrne found it. And all of that, intuition.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it sounds like, though, there's synchronicity and that has happened. Like, these programs that you read and you found and you knew, oh, this is something I need to know. So go on with the intuition, because I think we have a inner guidance system, don't you?
Well, at the beginning of my journey, when I was totally lost and really I had quit my corporate job and I was in tremendous debt, I was spiraling. But at some point I just decided I'm going to, whatever it meant, to give it up to the universe, which I really didn't know what that meant, but I basically just let go. Now I can look back now and I just biologically and psychologically said, I'm not going to think about trying to figure this out anymore. But back then it was giving it up to the universe. And I decided that now if I'm going to do something, I'm going to look for something that's different, because I've been doing the same thing over and over. Now I'm getting clear on my intention. I know who I want to be. I know how I want it to feel. So now I'm going to look for other things. Other signs, if you, I was way into the signs back then.
Yeah.
And so that, just again, to cut a very long story short, that was a bunch of intuitive nudges that I got. Go talk to this person, go into this store, have this conversation, do this workshop, just intuition. I just said yes.
Yeah.
Like I didn't sit there and go, well, I don't know, because I've never done that before, and so, and that intuition and following that led me through the formation of my company and all the success. It led me to The Secret. I mean, every move I made was intuitive, and that's the only reason I would do anything. Now, the opposite of that was after The Secret. Now, again, it's a whole different, now it's a game changer, right? And all these marketing people are coming at me because they see an opportunity.
The secret mug with your face on it.
We can take you to the next level. With our strategies, etc. Now, I had done just fine with my little email program that was running on my own freaking server. It wasn't even, this was before any of these big services. But something in me said, well, okay, I guess they know what I'm doing, or they know what they're doing. They know,
exactly.
And so I started. Now, this was against my intuition.
It sounds like you put the power outside of you. You're totally like, I'll give them. Totally,
because I had a moment of doubt. My doubt was, well, maybe they know better than I do. And in that moment, I decided to trust them. And I thought, well, maybe this gut feeling of to not do what they're suggesting is just me. It's just fear. It's just resistance to change. And I'm just going to let that go. But man, it was the worst business decision. I to this day, I feel the effects of that decision, because it was a customer service nightmare, because I was using strategies that just didn't feel good, and they didn't land with my audience, and I had joint ventures with people who were not a fit. I mean, it was a huge, and this was all in 2008. So I'll add to that, I'm trashing my relationship with my list, if you will, and there's a recession, and everybody stops buying stuff for themselves for self-improvement. So now I could have ridden the recession a lot better had I maintained my own integrity and followed my intuition around how do I deal with my customers. And so it took, I don't know, 6 months. But I quit that and then just started the process of getting back to being me again. And again, that once live streaming came along, then it was a whole new deal.
So I'm curious, do you have a way for yourself of knowing when it's legitimate, like I shouldn't do this, or if it's just fear getting in the way? Do you have any tips?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes. The tip is generally I have to get in a very quiet space. Like right now, I use a lot of breath work to get there, but however to get to your meditative space. And I just kind of, it's just a different level. Instead of thinking about it, I'm trying to feel about it, and if it really doesn't feel good, then I'm just not, I'm just not going to do it. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be, if I made that choice and I get it, it doesn't mean it's the wrong response. Like either response can be the right response. You can learn something, advance, no matter what response. So if I had made a decision based on that feeling and it turned out to be like, oh, this isn't the result I wanted, there's still something to learn.
Yeah, we learn something from everything. That's why it's almost like there are no mistakes. There are like bumps in the road, but you think, well, what if I hadn't done that? Maybe I wouldn't have learned this. So, I think that helps me personally get over angst sometimes.
Yeah.
If I'm like, you know what, just make a choice. Do you know what the worst thing for me and many other people is being frozen and not choosing?
Yes. Indecision is
just
hell. It's the worst.
Like, just make a choice, go with your best feeling. And I'm glad to hear you talk about kind of going into that meditation and checking in with your body, because plug for me here, that's one of the programs I have out there is exactly doing that, like doing a meditation and then recalling a feeling and saying, where is it in my body? Is this good or bad? And kind of just getting in touch with that. Like, when something feels good, you notice in your own body where it feels good. And if it feels bad, you notice like where that's going, right? So I
just got to get out of the network in your head that makes all that meaning, right?
The logic is not always right.
Yeah, correct. The meaning that you're giving stuff isn't necessarily anywhere close to the truth. It is to you, And therein lies the rub, because it's guiding your actions and the decisions you make, because you've made meaning that isn't even true. And that meaning that you keep making is stopping you from taking the action you need to take to get the results you want.
Yeah. So I know you have mentioned some of the programs, the Boundless Living Challenge I did. Can you tell us what else you're doing and what's out there for people to move ahead and to become who they want to be?
Well, if they're interested in this guy, because here's the deal, I don't care what approach you take, whether it's just studying the law of attraction or doing hypnosis or taking this seminar or whatever, your transformation is, if it's permanent and lasting, it's because your brain got rewired. That's it. So it's whatever technique you want to use. So the way that I approach it now, it's just like we're going right to it. We're not learning a bunch of weird philosophy. We're not learning the parts of the brain. We're going, what do we need to do to change your wiring? And that is to send it new information on a consistent basis. I'm talking consistent basis, despite the discomfort, et cetera, so that new wiring, new neural pathways can actually be formed. So, but the best way to get started with that is to know what your starting point is. Like, what is your autopilot behavior? Because when you can notice that, then, now you become conscious of it now. And only then do you have the freedom to make another choice, because otherwise you're just running on autopilot and you think this is the truth. This is the only way I can respond here. Yeah. So what I have out there that people can do that can be helpful for them is our transformation personality type quiz, which is free. It takes 60 seconds.
And I'll put that down in the comments so everybody can take it.
Yeah. And do take it, because what it will do is it will just shine a light on behavior that these types, there's nothing wrong with these types. And just because you are this type, it doesn't mean that you're going to sabotage any rewiring or transformation efforts. But if you are struggling, if you find yourself in a loop, if you keep sabotaging yourself, this information can be helpful. So you take the quiz, you say, okay, I'm this type. It has this particular trait or traits that might be stopping me and slowing me. Now that you know that, how do you use that information to have that trait or whatever work to your advantage instead of a disadvantage? So you take the quiz, you get a PDF and a nice little video that explains all that stuff. And then that is where you will first learn about the Boundless Living Challenge, which is what you took.
Yep.
And that is really, aside from speaking or private coaching or whatever, that is the way I'm helping people, because it provides, like you said, all the things you need for that to happen. You've got the accountability, you've got the community. We have all sorts of tools for all the emotional stuff that comes up, that a lot of times.
A lot of good bonuses and tools on there, like besides just your program, a lot of resources. But go on.
And that there's also, it's point driven. So every time you do a task in this program, you get points, right? And then that will unlock other programs and things like that. So, and your brain loves that. So we're trying to cater to your brain. I mean, and we're not trying to hide that fact. Yeah. It just, I could tell you, we have that in there because your brain likes the ding, and it'll still work. Yeah. It's not like I'm trying to do something. They'll never know what's happening. No,
it's like a Pavlov dog. Ding! Right. I got a star.
Yes, and it just makes it more enjoyable and hopefully keeps you going through it. Because if you don't, joining any program, if it's a 45-day program, like ours is 45 days, but what we're telling you is that you're going to learn the skills you need to begin the rewiring process and get it going, and not that you're going to be completely rewired in 45 days, because I have no way of knowing how long you're going to take or how diligent you're going to be. There's just no way anybody promises you that. That's just whatever. This is, we're dealing with reality, but we will be there for you as long as you want that accountability and the information. And of course we do live coaching every week, which I think is pretty valuable. And it gives me a chance to connect personally with people. So other than that, they can I'm so easy to find on the socials, and there's meetbobdoyle.com for the various other ways. Like, I love to do virtual training, virtual speaking, virtual keynoting, anything I can do to get this message out in an efficient way. And I just think nothing beats this virtual stuff.
Yeah, I think I know, and it's interesting when you talk about, we don't know what you're going to do after you leave when you're done with the 45 days. And just like everybody, if I was out of town, I think I told you, like I left my calendar, I had to be different. And it's easy to get that sled starting going down the wrong hill again.
Easy, very easy.
And so it takes personal responsibility and accountability. You don't take a course or a workshop or something and say, oh, well, I took it and now I'm just doing the same thing again. It's like the people that go on a diet, and when they're done with the diet, they go back to their old eating. So people, whatever you do out there, whatever you learn, whoever you work with, when you're done, it's your responsibility, because it's yourself. It's yourself. People need, I think, to stop putting the power outside themselves for their wellness, their happiness, their well-being. They can get help. It's help. It's not like you're going to fix me. So
right. It's just a system of support, and it's not like people have the option to continue after 45 days, and we urge people to do that, because hopefully by that time they've seen, okay, this is actually, I've got momentum here. I don't want to screw it up.
Yeah,
and we're talking about. We're talking about your life. We're talking about the biggest life you can dream of, without the woo-woo necessarily. But when you get this, when you really get this, you'll see, and it'll happen one day. You'll have this aha that says, all I've got to do is keep reprogramming. It's a lot of action. Sometimes it might be a lot of learning. You might need to, learn a new skill, whatever you got to do to be that person.
Yeah.
But that's growth. And that's this amazing,
and it can be fun.
If you decide it can be fun, that's right. You get to decide whether or not it's fun, or if it's laborious, or whatever it is. That's all on you and the meaning you give it.
And it's fun making permanent positive change. Little NLP in there, right? I'm having a good time making permanent positive change.
Yes. And that's legit. That is a legitimate, we can call it a technique or whatever, but that is how your brain will be wired, because you're telling yourself the other stuff anyway. If you're not doing it consciously, believe me, it's being said unconsciously. I can't do that. Oh, I tried that and failed. It's you may not be consciously thinking it, but it's just running in there all the time, just solidifying those wirings, unless you short circuit it with your intention, which you have the ability to do. It's a gift we have. We can control our thoughts to an extent. Sometimes they feel runaway, but with practice and dedication and knowing why you're doing it. In our industry, you hear it all the time. You got to know your why, but this is for real. We know why we needed to learn to walk and learn to drive and all those non-negotiables. We need to know why we must be that person, or we'll bail. Yeah. If it gets too challenging.
Yeah. You've got to keep your goal solid.
And why?
What is the why? Yes. A lot of people just I used to find more for myself. I'd be like, I want to do this now. No, I'm going to do this. No, I love this because I like it all. I like it all. And that was the why. But I, for myself, had to learn to prioritize and maybe even put things in pockets. It's like I'm spending time on this and then I'm spending time on that.
Yeah, I think we talked about that once on one of the weekends, because I have the same thing. I love to do a gazillion things. Yeah. And if I don't do them, if I don't give myself permission to do them, whether or not they are part of my business or making money or provide value for anybody else but me, if I don't do them, that's when you start to feel like you're dying inside. That's when you start to feel compressed. That's where depression comes from. It's where, I really believe that the bulk of the world's problems are here because people all over the place were never able to express the person they truly were here to be, which breeds all sorts of resentment and anger and control issues and, competition that is just all kinds of messes. Yeah. Because somewhere along the line early, we learned limitation and that we can't have, or we can't be, like when I would get punished at school, for talking too much. It's, it's like,
me too.
God forbid I should be right. Not a shock.
Join
right.
The club.
But but that kind of behavior, the expression of a child's natural exuberance is by and large suppressed and made wrong in some context. And a kid can't say, you can say, well, you can do that behavior outside of school. No. You are either this person or you're not. I'm not saying you run wild, but to make a child or anybody feel wrong for who they are here to, who they're expressing themselves to be, is the worst thing you can do to a person. But, and even though, and this is the thing about transformation, is if you take on a massive transformation and truly want to go next level, chances are good that the people who are around you now may not be on board and give you grief and make it difficult for you. But when you stay true to yourself and you do it, because by doing that and succeeding, you're going to be meeting, of course, you're going to have to meet a whole new set of people who are in a different conversation, who are supporting your vision. And it's going to feel so much better.
Yeah. I was watching some video the other day where someone said, talking about your opinion or being yourself, says, yeah, you might, some people are going to, not like it. And, you might lose some friends. And he says, let them go. You don't want them if they are squashing or denying your self-expression of who you really are. And that's, one of the things I think when people have a goal, they say, well, I want to make a lot of money, or, oh, I want to have this promotion at my job. When we get back to the why, I think that's really important before anybody starts on any goal, is really say why. Is it out of your heart, out of your passion, or is it because money? What does the money represent?
Or is it
Not just
fear?
money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a huge
Or
thing
fear.
right after The Secret, because people they want to learn the law of attraction to solve all their problems, and all of their focus was on their problems that they're going to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just they're trying to do the law of attraction from this contracted lack mentality, and like, all this money will solve my problems, and if I don't get it, it's going to be terrible, and when is it going to happen? And the energy around it. And I used to talk about that. It's like, if you're doing that, if you got all that resistance and fear, think about what you're doing energetically and what you're attracting. Again,
Yep.
I get it, you get it. A lot of people go, what are you talking about?
That's why
Right.
the practical application of just be what you want to be, and who you really want to be.
But what I want to say about that is that resistance and all of those thoughts, that manifests in behavior.
Yeah.
Not forget the energy. It manifests in behavior, how you say things, the things you do, don't do, decisions you make, how you just show up in a conversation, and that has real results out in the world. That's where it's happening from a practical point of view.
Yep.
And if you get too stuck on like, oh, I've got all this bad energy and I'm attracting it, forget all that. How is it making you be?
Mm-hmm.
And override that by being something else.
Yeah. I love the part about, just having gratitude, instead of the lack feeling, I wish I had this, I wish I had more, I wish it is like, oh, look what I do have. Look,
Yeah.
I have warmth, I have safety, I have food, I have friends, I have, every day. And Wayne Dyer used to say he'd get out of bed, and the first thing he'd say as he put his feet on the ground was thank you, because he could stand up and get out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody that can do something, if you go from a place of gratitude, you have much bigger window to move forward in a positive way. But that's my thing,
Well, and it just, yes. And again, it may feel weird at first for a person who isn't used to that. And just understand that it's normal that it's going to feel weird. It doesn't mean that you're not supposed to feel that, or that's not just me. You get to decide would you like to be a person who feels good and is grateful for things? Then great. Then go through all that weird feeling of feeling uncomfortable being grateful for a light socket. Because you can be really, really grateful for that if you just think about it.
Wasn't it you talking about the piece of gum or the mint?
It's possible. I've talked about gum
like being
before.
So grateful. Oh, chapstick.
Chapstick is my main one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When you need chapstick and you don't have it, you would just about give anything for a freaking chapstick, right?
Right.
And so, yeah. And then, so like, I could go down and get a chapstick now, but normally you don't feel that level of gratitude, but you could. Thank you, chapstick, for being here. And, we get to decide how much we amp up our gratitude, and like everything. See, it takes some energetic and biological momentum, like change your thoughts. Like if you get sidetracked from something, if you're going on this, and somebody tries to pull you away, it's like, oh, there's so much that has to happen chemically to do this. Not just like, okay, and you're not a jerk because you can't just sidetrack. There's chemistry that has to happen, and then when you do, you get the momentum, and now you're there. But it seems like, oh, how can I get there? You just shift. And that's how everything is. Same with any new behavior. You talked about the gym before. Everybody dreads the gym at first until they start getting into why they're doing it and they feel it. And then it becomes a part of their habit. It becomes a part of their wiring, and they don't hate it anymore.
And some of them love it. I know lots of people, they can't do without their gym, and I'm like, some days I'm on, some days I'm off, but when I was wired, I allow myself that. I don't put myself down if I don't feel like going to the gym. And if I do, I'm like, yay, me.
Right. Yes. And that's okay too. They're like, there's no right way. And that's why any comparing with other people and how they do it. Are you enjoying your life? Because bottom line, that's what I'm here to help you do.
Yeah.
Just enjoy your life, regardless of how much money it is on the outside or where you're living. If you're enjoying it, I've done my job here.
Right. And it's not money that buys happiness, but a lot of studies have proven that. So
yeah.
What's up next for you? What do you have in the works?
Well, right now I am in the challenge. This is in terms of this work. In
Okay.
terms of this work, that is what I'm doing. Always have got the feelers out for the speaking and things like that.
Uh-huh.
Although I don't pound the pavement like a lot of speakers do,
Hmm.
because again, I like to be virtual and that kind of thing. But really what I'm trying to do is, the challenge is in place and it works really well with sort of my lifestyle and the things I love to do and my expertise and all my strong points. But I also am trying to find more time for the ukulele. And I have a great
Yeah.
interest in a lot of, artificial intelligence stuff when it comes to
Mm.
graphics. And like I have all these passions and these
Yeah.
creative passions that I want to just allow myself to explore. Again, maybe it'll turn into something professional. Maybe it's just for me. But
Right.
like to do that guilt free and to just continue to expand my being and fully exploring the things that I'm interested in exploring, because I can at least explore them. So
Yeah.
giving myself permission to do all of those things. So I think just that, giving myself more time to do those creative things, that's what's next for me.
And what I like is that even as you are leading others and helping others, that you're living by example, right? Because each of us needs to like do our job, but you also have your private world, your own world of your personal interests that have nothing to do, like you said, with anything you're teaching. And everybody should have like this balance of following their heart, right? Follow their passion and enjoy their life, not just always be like, this is my goal, this is my goal, this is my goal, because you get burned out.
It's why you're here, is to
Yep.
express that within you. And if you
Okay, we just had a little microphone mishap, so we're back on track, but we kind of lost track where we were. So, but we were talking about, I think, I'll just go to the next question I was going to ask you,
okay, that's great.
because, we lost track with our issue. But what do you think of affirmations?
Well, they're a key component of this. This is what we're doing. We're telling ourselves new positive things. Now, the traditional way of doing affirmations, of just saying it over and over and over again, it can absolutely work. But I'm a proponent of using those with release techniques and things like that, so that every time you're giving yourself this affirmation and and your brain comes up, nah, that's not true, then you can, do some EFT on it or whatever. I'm a big fan of those release techniques. But I think that affirmations, they are, because we are affirming something to ourselves all the time. We're doing affirmations. They just
Anyway,
may not be very positive ones.
or
Right?
disaffirmations, maybe.
I
Yeah,
suppose, but we are affirming something.
a truth, right?
We are
What we
affirming
believe.
something, whether or not it's negative or positive.
Mhm.
So yes, we need to start, if we're going to change our wiring, that dictates our wiring. So if we're going to change our wiring, we need to affirm new things. And that can be through the traditional approach to affirmations. But ideally, you want to go out and live those, what you're writing down, you go out and be it
Yeah.
to any extent that you can.
I will throw in here for the audience too. One of the things that I usually like to remind people is to use the positive form of a word. So to say I'm brave instead of I'm fear free,
Oh yeah,
right? I'm
absolutely.
healthy instead of I have no sickness. So you want to use the core word that is the positive word. And some people, they try to
I don't
say
want
the
to be
opposite.
broke.
Right. They say the
Right. That
opposite
kind of stuff.
word. Yeah. So I have abundance. I am wealthy, not I'm,
I
not
am
poor.
is
Yeah.
really key here, because
Yeah.
we are talking about becoming someone. So
Mhm.
I am this
Right.
is one of the more power, because
Yeah.
a lot of times we're going around saying I'm an idiot or I'm a da, da, da,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. So we want to replace all of that. And again, I just want people listening to know that if you are not in the habit of saying these positive things, if your autopilot is kind of goes negative before it goes positive, then trying to override it like this, it's going to feel weird, and you're going to
Hmm.
feel like a fraud, and you're going to feel like this is stupid, and your wiring is going to affirm it, and you're going to have all this. But just know that that's a normal response, a logical response based on your current wiring. But is it serving you? Is it getting you where you want to go? If the answer is no, good.
Yeah.
Just know it's not a universal truth that it's stupid. It's the way your brain changes.
Yeah.
You just have to go through the discomfort so that it will change.
I also tell people never say something you don't want to be after the words I am,
Yeah.
because like you say, you're just affirming that truth. Also, like for some people saying, oh, I am wealthy, or I am thin when they're heavy, it can be too far away. So I like to you suggest little, kind of baby affirmations if that's too big of a leap, like I am becoming healthy, or I am healthier every day, or,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Well, you could also look at it like I am is separate from your body, like the I, who I am is
Right.
healthy. Who I am is fit. Now, my body needs to catch up with that, but we don't even need to say that.
Yeah,
So
good
instead
point.
of saying that you're lying to yourself, because you're not talking about your body right now, you're talking about you, the
I like
current,
that.
the core essence of you. And that can be
Mhm.
about a lot of things.
And then the rest of it just has to catch up
Catch
because,
up.
yep,
Because
with who you
right
are.
now, it's an
Yeah.
extension of who you've been telling yourself you are. So now you're going to change it. And now you got to let biology and science and all that stuff keep up,
Yeah.
physics. Your body takes a while to change, but you be that thin person, you be that fit person, do the
Mhm.
things, make the meaning, eat the foods, instead of looking at it like it's me trying to be that,
Yeah.
trying to go through all this, trying to lose weight. No, it is, I am this healthy person who is now in this vehicle now, but as I
Yeah.
act as this healthy person, this vehicle, is no longer needed.
Right. And oddly enough, and here's where a little woo-woo comes in. It's not woo-woo, but like you say, the behaviors will lead to the changes, the thought to the behavior to the change you want to see.
Right. It's all
Yeah.
logical.
Well, Bob, is there anything else you want to add that you think the audience would benefit from?
Well, it's just, people who listen to podcasts and personal development things, and they listen to a lot of things, and they go, yeah, it's really easy to go, yeah, that makes sense to me, that resonates with me, or whatever. But if you don't do anything with it, you're not going to rewire, and you're not going to transform, and you're waiting to the next thing. And I'm telling you, and you can take this, and I said it before and I'm saying it again, and you can take it as however it lands with you. Transformation happens for you if your brain is wired for it, period. End of story. However you get there.
Yeah.
So what technique, what process are you going to use to start sending new messages to your brain on an ongoing basis that has the support and the coach? I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm just saying I am one, but has the tools and the support and the information and all of that stuff. Because if you don't have something like that, you can listen to podcasts the rest of your freaking life, and you're going to be a person who listens to podcasts. You're going to fall into the seeker type of our transformation personality test, and you'll have a ton of information. You can talk about anything over coffee while you're still struggling to pay your bills.
Yeah, I don't remember if is wizard one of those? Was I a wizard?
Yes.
Yep. And that's me and my crystals.
Right. I
My
recognize it when you
magical
mentioned that.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's lovely. Ritual's
But that's
great, and
why
it feels good. It
your
feels
program helped me, in particular with my, my process, because I'm like, oh, well, rose petals.
right. It's coming to me any minute.
And I personally needed to be more grounded,
Yeah.
to be more practical in my daily work.
Yeah. It's not, and look, it's not giving up. I'm not asking anybody to give up anything like that. Like I'm not anti-law of attraction.
Oh no, I haven't given it up. I got my crystals and my tarot cards, my pendulums,
Yes. It's
my
all wonderful.
meditations.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm all about the woo-woo, but
Mm.
trying to use it as a teaching and transformation tool. I was not just not able to see the impact that just a practical approach. I can still help woo-woo people, but they also need to just recognize the biology of things and learn to take the action. But what I like about this approach is I can also help any corporate person or anybody who would never even think about the law of attraction.
That might be turned off by, oh, I don't do that sort of
Right.
stuff, because this honestly is just creating the who you are for it to happen.
Yeah.
It's almost like, you can't drive a car unless the car is built. So it's like you gotta build your vehicle, you gotta build your mind, and then get in and drive it. It's not just going to appear
That's
out
true.
of, yeah, you're not
That's
going to
true.
go anywhere unless you create the vehicle to get there.
And you get to, and that's why we're here. And that's why we have a brain and our imagination and the passion within us. It's not just a cruel joke. It's all there for a reason. We're supposed to go do it.
I like
So the
kill
only
joke
reason we're
there.
not doing it is because we were told by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about that we couldn't. Now we know that our brain can be trained to learn just about anything. Whatever you need to do, have all sorts of experiences, get used to anything, grow through just about any kind of comfort zone. totally adaptable if you're willing to go through the discomfort, if the end result is worth it. So make the end result worth it, and you can do it.
Thank you. And thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed talking to you and sharing this information with people. And so I'll have details, how to reach Bob, the quiz and everything down there in the details. And thanks for being here with Intuitive Journey with Desiree. See you next time. Thanks, Bob.